All right, we're gonna build a computer today. Today we are going to aim to build the ultimate AMD computer with our help from our friends over at Micro Center and AMD. So what you're gonna see right here is just like top of the line, best parts we could basically pick to make a computer from AMD that literally pulls out all the stops. So if you're an AMD fanboy, this one's for you. Obviously, we have to have a Ryzen CPU in here. I guess we could have used Threadripper, but it's been a while since AMD's updated Threadripper, hopefully soon. But this is still the baddest CPU you can buy for mainstream, which is the Ryzen 9 5950X. This is a 16 core, 32 thread monster of a CPU. Now we'll be pairing that with a lot of memory. This is the Trident Z Neo. This is a 128 gigabyte set of RAM. Hopefully it'll all boot. I believe it's compatible with this motherboard. But anyway, in terms of SSD for speed, we've got a 980 Pro PCIe Gen 4 NVMe drive. So this is the 2 terabyte variant of that. So plenty of storage on here. Would also make an excellent scratch disk for editing, just saying. We're gonna be plopping all of that onto our Aorus X570 Extreme motherboard. This is like the flagship. This is, you know, you order a car and you checked all the boxes. That's what you get with the Aorus X570 Extreme motherboard. Design aesthetics on motherboard is something that I think a lot of people overlook. To me, it's important. So this is all matte black. It's got shields everywhere. Shields up! Anyway, it's got shields on the back here. These are just aesthetically pleasing. This also keeps, believe it or not, people go, what's the point of putting this on the back? This actually stops pinching of wires too, which really helps. So if you got a wire that ran behind here and you didn't notice it and you tighten down the motherboard, you don't have the sharp solder joints that just poke into the wire and cause you a short. But as you can see from the front, we've got our covers here for our M.2s, heat pipe connection here with the actual heat sink with fins. A lot of brands now just go with the big chunky block. I still really like the way the heatsink fins look. It looks mechanical. It's awesome. Everything on the right side is 90 degree. So case choice, it's gonna matter for this because obviously with the way grommets and stuff are, it's an EATX board. You wanna make sure you have enough room on this side to be able to mount it in your case and still get your wires in, which is one of the reasons why we chose the Lee & 011 Dynamic XL. It's wider to support EATX. It's got those curved grommets so that we can still make our loop into our 90 degrees just fine. And it's obviously gonna provide plenty of space for our Power Color 6900 XT. This is a huge GPU right here. The fans on this thing are massive, so we need to be able to fit it in the case. I mean, yeah, should fit. We're kind of keeping things Lee & Lee fanboy around here, so we are using the Galahad AIO 360. This is a pretty good, you know, I don't want to say no frills, because it does have RGB lighting and stuff in the loop, but it doesn't complicate things with having screens or having a ton of connections that you have to make everything work. It's just a solid AIO, a 360 millimeter radiator, which is plenty of cooling for a 5950X, and it's got that kind of an aluminum look on the pump itself, which is gonna match our white and black theme nicely. But we're gonna be taking off the fans that come on here, and we'll be, of course, using Lee & Lee's new Unifan AL120s. So we'll have three on the top for the AIO, 3 on the bottom, intaking air on the bottom of the case. So we will be using the natural heat convection plus assisted convection by having air come in the bottom, push up, and all the hot air come out the top. No fans in the rear, no conversion or fans in the front. Should be pretty simple. Then in terms of power, HX100 from Corsair. This is all black cables, not individually sleeved, but all black cables, which should blend in nicely. And I think this is a build that would make anyone, well, pretty much their pants. Now this is not a tutorial on how to build a computer, but we'll give you some beauty shots to look at along the way. And there it is, fully assembled. This is my first time building the Lian Li O11 Dynamic XL. I gotta tell you, it's awesome. I hope that the changes they brought to the Evo make their way to an Evo XL, which would make it like the ultimate case. But as you can see, we got our Lian Li fans in there, our Lian Li cooler. I wasn't expecting the Galahad to match so nicely with the fans. The Galahad style-wise of the cooler itself, like I'm not a fan of it, I'm not a fan of it that much, but the aluminum accents on there go really well, obviously, with their fans. So that's why we put the matching fans on the AIO and didn't use the ones that they came with. Right now, everything's just set to RGB puke, except the graphics card. Because it's a Red Devil, it comes default red, but the graphics card is also RGB. And all 128 gigabytes of RAM is showing right there. So think of how many browser tabs you could have open. You'd have like 7 Firefox tabs open, or maybe 6 Opera tabs. This is like by far an overkill build. The only way you can make this build even more overkill is if you were to go custom water cooling loop, obviously, which would allow a radiator at the bottom, a radiator at the top, another radiator on the back wall. I mean, you could just go completely nuts. Distribution blocks are available for this. That's what makes the Lian Li like ecosystem so cool. Because it's such a popular case, both the XL, the Standard, and the Evo is gonna be popular as well. That's why there's such huge aftermarket support for it. But the Red Devil 6900 XT Ultimate, it's funny, the graphics cards like this, the 6900 XTs, as they progress and get better, is fueling the rumors about a 3090 Ti because this is encroaching too closely and passing the 3090 in a lot of tests now. Of course, they're talking about coming out with a new SKU now. But anyway, 128 gigs of RAM, 16 cores and 32 threads of CPU, 6900 XT, a 2 terabyte 980 Pro SSD. There's nothing this computer couldn't do. The only thing it can't do right now is necessarily serve an immediate purpose for us because I don't know what to do with it. We'll figure out something. We're starting to have so many builds around here. We might have to build our own little LAN center here so we can start just using them and having people come over and play games with us or whatever. But yeah, white cases are just my favorite, honestly, because of the fact that they reflect so much light inside. And I personally don't think RGB puke is a bad thing. I think people are just fed up with seeing it over-advertised. The Gigabyte motherboard had some features I was not expecting because I have not built with a Gigabyte board in a long time. All 90-degree adapter or angled plugs on the right, everything clearly marked. It even comes with a front panel adapter so that you can plug everything. And no, we've seen the adapters where it's got like a little block, little brick, and you just plug them in there and then plug that in, and that's ugly because it just makes it like twice as tall as it needs to be. This comes with a little captive clip that you put all the plugs in where they're supposed to go, and then that clips into an extension that then has a small pigtail with a tiny plug on the end that then connects on the motherboard. So it's all hidden, you can't even see it. Down in the bottom left-hand corner here, where your HD audio and everything would go, or your PCI Express supplemental power if you needed it for running 2 6900 XTs if you were gonna be doing Crossfire and something like Port Royal or whatever, or any of the older benchmarks that'll support Crossfire. Or if you're doing SLI with like 3090s, 3080s, whatever, you can plug that down in the bottom left corner, but you don't see it because there's a cover. There's a cover that just is friction fit and comes off if you need it, which will expose the HD audio, which a lot of people don't use anymore because that cable is noisy, it's non-shielded, and it's got a lot of interference and high impedance, so it's just terrible in terms of, they should just do away with that, honestly. But secondly, it just allows everything to stay nice and clean. All your fan headers are on one side. You got some at the top, but they're like all in a line, so you can easily cable manage everything to one spot and get it all nice and organized. You've got the shields that cover the M.2, and the other M.2 is down the bottom, and the PCB, so it doesn't look all ugly. The RGB lighting built in is tasteful, and I gotta tell you, as somebody that hasn't built with a Gigabyte/Aorus board in a long time, or Aorus, however you pronounce it, I'm thoroughly impressed with how well it looks. Might have to give them a build in the future where I use it for a while personally just to see how I feel about it these days. My issue in the past was BIOS stability and stuff, but we're going back to like X299 a long time ago. So there you go. My only issue with this build right now is the fact that the graphics card is red and not RGB because I wanted to match all the rest. Anyway, thanks for watching this build, guys. You guys once said you wanted to see more builds. I like doing stuff like this that's all out of the box because as parts have kind of like increased in popularity, the aesthetics of them have really improved to where you get this custom feel without having to do anything custom. And then of course it gives you the freedom to customize things, like I said, with distribution blocks and custom water cooling and all that, to make it unique to you but without having to bust out the Dremel or the grinder or do anything crazy like that, like we're doing with the Star Wars build. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Sound off down in the comments below how you guys feel about this. And stay tuned. We have another build coming up before the end of the year, which will be another fun one. See you guys tomorrow. I almost said the next one. That's tomorrow.